damaged people are always emotionally damaged people are always sexually promiscuous. Let me say this again. If you are traumatized, if you are emotionally damaged, you are promiscuous. And do you want to know why?
Why is that?
Emotionally traumatized people require constant validation from others. You married to a woman who's been traumatized, abuse, abandonment, whatever. When you're not around her for too many days, she has to entertain another man because her trauma dictates constant validation. And constant validation means I must have a man in my personal space. You ever date a woman who was crazy about you? She absolutely loved you, so you thought. It was really addiction.
Yeah.
When you finally let her go, when you finally got her to stop stalking you, she ended up with another man like that. And your ego took a hit. You said, wait a minute. I know that woman was crazy about me. Climbed in my window, came to my... You understand? She was... She was crazy about your presence in her life. And the minute you distance yourself from her life, she found a replacement without a problem. Emotionally damaged people are promiscuous because they cannot go without constant validation.
They need that validation.
They need it. Most of our promiscuous women are damaged women. They're not having sex because they love having sex. They're having sex because they have learned this is the only way I can get a man's attention.
Sounds cute.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna start off in the reverse order. Who went last, Sweeney? Okay, so I'm looking at this video. Just the thoughts that come to my mind is, who is not emotionally damaged, and does this just apply to men or women? And how do we factor in like male? Does this only for women, or is this male nature? So you can answer that question in any way you want. Do you think this applies to men or women? And if so, why not?
I can't speak for if that is a male or woman thing. All I can do is use myself as an example. My sophomore year in college was my most depressed. That was my most sexually active. I mean, like literally a different girl every night, kicking them out my dorm room type stuff. Like, and it was because I had friends there, but I didn't really see my friends all that often, even though we were on the same campus. The friends that I had my freshman year were 2.5 hours away from me. I didn't have no car to go see them. I didn't have nobody to kick it with or none of that. So I was literally by myself on campus. So what else could I do? I didn't like the major that I had. It was never my school of choice. So I felt like I was just there floating. And I could say that was probably my most sexually active, where I was. That's all I felt like I could do at that time. So I can't speak for whether this is a thing that men and women, but I can tell you that my most sexually promiscuous has been when I was depressed.
That's interesting. I know a lot of women that had, some type of sexual trauma in their past, and a lot of them, like, it holds true. A lot of strippers that I've met have been, have a past of things like that. I'm struggling with this. While I ask these questions, I'm keep thinking about it, because I think that the nature of us as young men, that testosterone in them, the body just be bodying. So I don't know if I could completely contribute that for us in that way. So we going to B Madden next, and then I think the order was B Madden, Clout, Hink, James, Trev, Rilla, and Shannon. Then am I getting it right? I'm gonna call on y'all, but I just want to make sure I'm somewhere within the ballpark. Is that right? All right. So B Madden, do you think this is true? If so, do you relate to this? If not, why not?
Like somebody got a spaceship.
I would say in real life, I ran into a lot of women that this holds true to. I think Marcus, you mentioned strippers, just other girls on OnlyFans have had a lot of trauma, because that's a different kind of addiction. the validation through, whether it's through money, actual like cash, through the amount of eyes and attention. Um, you also got to look at people that are literally addicted, and that's on Instagram 24/7, 365, or on TikTok. Um, that's another kind of validation that some women just have to know that that they're sexy, that they're um, desired, that they're wanted, and that there's guys blowing up their DMs, that there's a bunch of comments, there's a whole bunch of likes on their posts, and they wear, sexually promiscuous clothing, or they have their boobs like stuck all the way out all the time, or they got their butt out, or they're half naked, or damn near naked in a lot of these posts, just to get some sort of validation from men. And they're really just screaming out, I need love, I need someone around me at all times. I, I need attention. I need all that stuff. So I see it from women time and time again. A lot of women have been through a lot of messed up things, unfortunately. A lot of women have a lot of trauma. They've been, abused. They've been through, sexual abuse through family members or people that were close to them or what have you, or they've been in really bad relationships. So, and I think also it has something to do with the level of power that they choose, that they want to, they feel as though that they've been abused, they've been in bad situations. They want to be able to uh, control what they have the ability to control, and that's like who they have sex with. So that's a level of control for them, a level of power. Like, I'm gonna take back my power, and taking back my power is riding whoever I want to ride or whatever. So it's a very interesting topic. I think it could, what Sweeney was saying, I think it could apply to some men, but again, you're dealing with male nature that'll run up against the fact that um, just us being in men having hair, men being men, broad shoulders, and all the things that women like. Men want, men desire, and women desire to be around certain men. So it's kind of difficult to say that men have that same issue. I think obviously men have trauma in this country as well too, but um, I don't think men look for sex as well. I think men are always looking for sex to a degree. So I mean, um, especially when you're single. So it's kind of hard for me to say, is it just your natural conquest or your natural testosterone, and you're attracting these type of women, or you're trying to just have sex with a whole bunch of them just because you're dealing with a lot of things, you're stressed, or you're depressed. So I don't know if it works the same way, but for women, definitely, I've seen that time and time and time and time again.
I appreciate that. It sounds like it's pretty consistent amongst us and what everybody has experienced thus far. I know Cloud gonna have some major insight. I know some major insight. You've been sitting there pondering. I know you. I'm never gonna ask you a question. I just want to see where you're gonna go with this. I seen you pondering.
Yeah, I was thinking on it because, like, I get where Umar's coming from, right? But I kind of have an issue with. I think a lot of these guys today like try to pathologize or diagnose everything, and I think sometimes it can get a little ridiculous. Like, people have been having sex since the beginning of time, right? And people have always been having sex. And, like, even though Sweeney gave his example of like being in college, it's like, yeah, maybe you were depressed in college, but you were also in college. You were also probably bored out your mind. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm pretty sure if you ask most people when the most promiscuous time in their life was, it was probably in college, right? So I think we like to go, oh, this person's being promiscuous, and so they must have some type of emotional damage. And I think that's just dangerous, like, to always jump to someone having emotional damage when they're promiscuous, because look, I mean, they could be doing it for validation, but in today's day, there's a lot of easier ways to get validation. Like B Madden said, you can get on Instagram, you can get on TikTok, you can get on YouTube. You know, you can go outside like this. You can dress a certain way. There's a lot of ways to get validation if somebody is just so emotionally damaged that they just need attention and validation. I genuinely think a lot of times promiscuous people just like having sex. A lot of them, I believe, just have a sex positive lifestyle and they just enjoy it. I think the word promiscuous also has a heavier weight than what it actually is. Promiscuous just means that you have many transient relationships, like, right, that, like, so it just means that you've had many relationships that aren't necessarily solid long-term relationships, and really that's the standard of today. I mean, we look at promiscuous like, you know, a woman's getting run through by like 10 dudes a night or something, but no, like literally if she dated three different dudes in a month that none of them became a boyfriend, that's technically promiscuous, and that's the standard of today's society. So again, I don't know if it's because of emotional damage or it's just that, you know what, we live in a world now where promiscuity is less shamed. You know, there's a lot more access to be promiscuous. There's a lot. It's a lot easier to be promiscuous in today's days, and I think that that's just the times. With the internet, you can see more nudity, you can touch more nudity, you can connect with more people, and I think people just want to do that. I don't think it always has to be that men or women have some type of emotional damage because they just want to have an abundant sex life. But now, on top of that, I would say it's absolutely true that some people's promiscuity it stems from um, emotional damage, but I think that's too vague. I think we should be more specific and say like sexual trauma. Like if someone had sexual trauma in their life, I think it's very likely that, you know, promiscuity in that person's life may stem from their sexual trauma. But if it's just random emotional damage causes promiscuity, I mean, we all go through all type of emotional damage, and I just don't see it. I think it's kind of a reach, and I think it's reaching because again, he's Dr. Umar Johnson, and he has like this pressure on him to say something profound when he gets in front of a camera. Like, you're Dr. Umar, you should say something profound. And so all these guys, when they get in front of the camera, they feel the need, like, oh, I have to pathologize. You're behaving this way because something's wrong with you, and it don't be that. Some people behave the way they do just because they feel like it, and that's okay too. Like we have to learn to accept that some people's behavior is just simply what they feel like doing. It's not because they're mentally ill, not because they've been damaged, not because their daddy or their uncle touched them. It's because they like to fuck, and I think that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.